What is up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I'm gonna be honest. Wait, before we get into it, guys, UFC 314, Volkanovski versus Lopes, Paddy Pimblett versus Michael Chandler, Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva. This is a stacked card, and I'm going to be predicting most of the card, starting with some of the prelims. But before I say anything, guys, I just filmed this video, and I checked back, and my mic on my OBS wasn't connected and it was all on mute. Let me just make sure that you guys can hear me. Okay, yes, the mic is going off. But I filmed a 20-minute video on mute. Apparently you guys couldn't hear me. So I'm going to redo this I'm going to try with as much enthusiasm as I can. But guys, this is a crazy card. We're going to be covering it from Jim Miller versus Chase Hooper, Volkanovski versus Lopes 314 for the undisputed 145 championship, and big lightweight belt of Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett, and of course Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva. Let's start with Jim Miller versus Chase Hooper. Very interesting lightweight belt. Jim Miller has all the experience, but he's pretty old, man. Yeah, I think he's the oldest guy in the UFC, 44 years old or something like that. I'm going to go Chase Hooper by a boring decision. Jim Miller has all the experience in grappling. But Chase Hooper, very good guy. He's well-rounded. He has pretty decent striking too. But I'm going to go Chase Hooper by boring decision. 29-28. Chase Hooper. Maybe 30-27. Just basically stalling the fight by holding Jim Miller in dominant type positions, maybe holding him against the cage a little bit, getting him down, having his back a lot. I could see him maybe finishing Jim Miller, but I'm going to go Chase Hooper by a boring decision where the fans start booing a little bit. Yan Xiaonan versus Verna Jandiroba. I'm going to go Yan Xiaonan. Her and Zhang Weili are they're the best fighters at 115. Of course, Zhang Weili is the best fighter at 115. But I think, yeah, Yan Xiaonan, she's very good. I think her last fight was against Zhang Weili at UFC 300. I don't think she's fought in a long time. But yeah. No, she did fight someone else after this. Who did she fight? Was it? I forgot who she fought. But Yan Xiaonan, very good. Her performance against Zhang Weili is better than what Verna Jandiroba could do against Zhang Weili. So I'm going to go Yan Xiaonan by probably 30-27 decision, just styling on Verna Jandiroba. Now, Dan Ige versus Sean Woodson. Very interesting fight. Big 145 matchup, if you really think about it. At first, when this got announced, I was thinking Dan Ige, but then I realized Sean Woodson has been doing pretty good in his last few fights. And he's very good. He's powerful. He has pop, and he's fast. He's coordinated. I'm going to go Sean Woodson by probably finish in the second round. I think Dan Ige, he hasn't had a good couple last fights. And I just think he's on the downfall, kind of. Maybe not in his career, but in this moment he is. Sean Woodson is very good. He has a weird build. Look at his legs. Look at his torso. Look at his arms. Looks like a 2K character. But I'm going to go Sean Woodson. Probably by, fuck, I'm tired, man. Probably by second round knockout. I think he's going to catch Dan Ige with some hooks on the inside. Because it's weird, because Sean Woodson, he's long, but he can catch people on the inside. I think he did that in his last fight. So I'm going to go Sean Woodson, probably by second round knockout or TKO. Nikita Krylov versus Dominic Reyes. The OG versus also an OG. Both OGs here. Both big guys, big 205ers. At first, I thought, Nikita Krylov would probably knock Dominic Reyes out. Then I realized Nikita Krylov has been out for a while. I think he was on injury or something. I think he had a fight booked last year, got canceled or whatever. But he's been out for a while. And I think Dominic Reyes will get this. He has the momentum. He has the last couple fights where he's gotten knockouts, finishes, and just dominant performances. In his last 3 fights, I think he's won. Excuse me. That was very rude of me. I apologize. Very rude. I apologize. But I'm gonna go Dominic Reyes, and I think this is surprising because I believe a lot of other people have Nikita Krylov knocking Dominic Reyes out. Now I believe Nikita Krylov will win the first round against Dominic Reyes, probably by cracking Dominic Reyes a little bit, where he gets a little chinny. But that's about it. I think Dominic Reyes will take over. I think his cardio is better. And I think, well, let's talk about Nikita Krylov's grappling. Very good grappling, very high level, better than Reyes' grappling. But it's not better than Reyes is enough to dominate him in grappling. I don't even know if he's gonna land a takedown on Reyes. And I believe Reyes can reverse positions on the fence and get dominant position on the fence too. And I think we'll start to see that a little bit in the first round. But I still think Nikita Krylov will probably get better shots in the first round, maybe crack Reyes. But in the second and third round, I think Reyes will, start throwing that jab, just start working Krylov, and even Reyes using his grappling against the fence too, chucking some knees up their elbows. I got Dominic Reyes 29-28 decision, maybe very close fight too. It'll be a close fight. Yair Rodriguez versus Patrizio Pitbull. Patrizio Pitbull is an OG to the game. Yair too, also an OG to the game. But I think Patrizio's coming to the UFC too late. He's very good. Short, stocky guy with power in his hands. Good boxer. But I just don't. He's coming to the UFC too late, and I don't think he's like good enough to really strike with Yair Rodriguez. Hold up. Yair Rodriguez, very good striker. I don't know how this guy isn't the greatest fighter of all time. Oh, we all know he has no grappling. I can see Patrizio trying to grapple with Rodriguez because does have decent grappling, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I think Yair Rodriguez will just pick Patrizio out apart from the outside. I think he's going to kick Patrizio's body a lot. I think he's going to throw a lot of front kicks, a lot of spinning kicks, and just style on Patrizio for 3 rounds. I think it's going to be 30-27 Yair Rodriguez. I think maybe one round will be close where one judge or 2 judges will give like maybe round 2 or something to Patrizio. But I think Rodriguez will get this. And I think it'll be pretty unanimous just picking apart Patrizio. I think it's too late coming into the UFC like this. Unfortunate, but it happens. And we'll see. Now, Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva. This is the true main event if you really know. This is the true main event. Millions and millions, 6 million people will be watching this. They'll be watching this fight. Bryce Mitchell, his last fight against Kron Gracie, knocked him out, slammed his head against the canvas, got a TKO on Kron Gracie. Gene Silva's last fight, very impressive, one of the best performances I've seen. I think it was this year that someone could have. Absolute styled on Bagdasarian and won that fight very, very easily. I don't know how he made it look that easy, but I don't think he has the grappling for this. Now, let's just say this. Bryce Mitchell is chinny, and I know what you're saying, well, he's only been chinned 1 time. I don't think anyone can really come back from being chinned like that to where if they're getting hit by someone like Gene Silva, they're not going to get knocked out. So I can very well see a Gene Silva knockout, but I don't think it's going to come to that. I think it's going to come to Bryce Mitchell shooting in the first 30 seconds, getting dominant position and beating up Gene Silva. I think really this fight goes 2 ways or 3 ways or 4 ways. Okay, whatever. There's 2 ways Bryce Mitchell can win. I think he goes in, shoots on Patrizio, Gene Silva, in the first round, first 30 seconds, and submits Gene Silva in a sequence of probably getting mount on Gene Silva, punching him in the face. Gene Silva turns over. Bryce Mitchell locks in a neck crank or a rear naked choke and holds on to it probably, even if the refs tell him to pull off, trying to pull him off. That's the type of shit I feel like he would do right now. Or Bryce Mitchell, he just dominates Gene Silva for 3 rounds straight and doesn't get the finish, but clear 30-27 or 30-26, 30-25 for Bryce Mitchell type win. Yeah, I'm gonna go Bryce Mitchell here. I think he gets the win by submission round 1. I think he'll submit Gene Silva. I don't think Gene Silva has the grappling to compete with Bryce Mitchell. We're forgetting everyone's talking about Ilia Topuria moving up to lightweight. That he's the counter to Islam Makhachev. He has the grappling to counter him. Well, what did Bryce Mitchell do to Ilia Topuria? Dominated him in the grappling. That's not exactly true, but he did get a decent amount of control time on Topuria, was able to take him down. I think Bryce Mitchell is patient here, picks good shots to take Gene Silva down. Bryce Mitchell will win this, most likely by decision. Or no, most likely by submission, I believe. Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett. This one I've been going back and forth, and I really don't know. Michael Chandler is a guy who has fought all the best people but never beat any of the best people. His only wins are Dan Hooker in his debut and Tony Ferguson 2 fights in. But Paddy Pimblett has fought no one. His last win was against Bobby Green. And we know like where that's at now. I don't think first of all, Paddy Pimblett is humongous. That guy walks around at 200 pounds. You thought Michael Chandler was big? No, Paddy Pimblett is big. He has the reach over Chandler, the height. He's like Islam. Like, I don't know. He's big. Paddy Pimblett is big, but Michael Chandler is also. I don't think that's. But it'll be a factor. I think Paddy Pimblett's striking. I think Michael Chandler might just chin Paddy Pimblett in round 2 though. I can really see. Here's what I think. I think it's either Paddy Pimblett wins a decision, or I know it's a 5-round fight. I know, but I think Paddy Pimblett can do that, and I think he can win a decision in a 5-round fight against Michael Chandler, or Chandler knocks him on the first 2 rounds, which I believe Paddy Pimblett will not get knocked out. I believe Paddy Pimblett, his striking has improved a lot. And I know what you're saying. Look at the Jared Gordon fight. But that was like 2 years ago, was it not? That was like 1.5 years ago. Was it not 2 years ago, the Jared Gordon fight? Tony Ferguson fight, like a year ago. Probably more than a year ago, right? That was London 304. That was a year ago. You know? No, that wasn't. That was more than a year ago, the Tony Ferguson fight. But the Bobby Green fight was 304. That was like 9 months ago or whatever. 8 months ago. I believe Paddy Pimblett has improved a lot. And if you look at that Bobby Green fight, people are like, oh, Bobby Green is an idiot. Why did he shoot? Maybe he felt uncomfortable on the feet. That's rare for Bobby Green to feel uncomfortable on the feet for him to shoot on Paddy Pimblett. But I don't think it was because of that. But Paddy Pimblett looked decent in the 30 seconds they were on the feet. I believe Paddy Pimblett, there'll be some moments where he's getting rocked back against the fence and Chandler's almost connecting, but he doesn't. Chandler's not a winner. He's a loser in the UFC. Let's be honest. But I could really see him just chinning Paddy Pimblett in 2. Let me talk to the gods. Let me just manifest this fight. Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me. What? Paddy Pimblett? They've talked to me. They've sent the messages down. Paddy Pimblett will win this fight 3-2 and how he will do it. First round, I believe Paddy Pimblett. I know he doesn't have good wrestling, but I believe he will get a dominant position on Michael Chandler. 2, get to just edge out the round in a dominant type, maybe in the on the fence, grabbing a body lock kind of on the fence, where Michael Chandler is on one knee and Paddy Pimblett is just kneeing him in the body. Round 2, Michael Chandler cracks Paddy Pimblett a little bit. Paddy Pimblett goes against the cage, takes an emergency shot, holding on to Michael Chandler's leg. They get back up. Michael Chandler is a little more patient. Maybe he doesn't want to go for the knockout right away, but that's Michael Chandler. Of course, he's gonna go for the knockout right away. Michael Chandler wins round number 2. Paddy Pimblett barely edging it out. Round number 3, I believe Paddy Pimblett will once again get dominant position in the grappling. Even though he doesn't have the wrestling, I believe he will have the wrestling this time. Round number 4, Paddy Pimblett, I think, will start to get the better of Michael Chandler with striking. I believe Michael Chandler coming in will get hit with some straight shots from Paddy Pimblett. Paddy Pimblett will throw some high kicks, I believe, and he'll probably shoot for a takedown, probably get stuffed by Michael Chandler, but it'll be enough for him to win round number 4. That's already 3 rounds I've chosen Paddy Pimblett to win. And I believe in the 5th round, it'll be close to where they give it to either one. This might be a split decision, but I think Paddy Pimblett will win a close 5-round fight, 3-2 against Michael Chandler. I know it's crazy to think, or Michael Chandler might just chin him in 2. Which I very well hope Paddy Pimblett wins this, though. I've come to one conclusion about this Alexander Volkanovski and Diego Lopes fight. Now let's talk about the 2 fighters. Diego Lopes, a guy who does not deserve a title shot like this over someone like Movsar Evloev. I don't care. I'll say it. Movsar deserves it more. Movsar has done way more than Diego Lopes. I don't care. I have beef now with Diego Lopes. I'm just kidding. I don't have beef. I like Diego Lopes. Very entertaining fighter. Very scary performance against Brian Ortega. Very good performance. Alexander Volkanovski lost to Ilia Topuria last. Got chinned. Before that, Makhachev got chinned. But before that, very, very good performance against Yair Rodriguez. Beat him in the striking, beat him in the grappling. Now, this fight comes down to 3 things that can happen. I know what you're saying. Okay, yeah, 3 things that can happen. It's like every fight. 3 things that can happen in this fight. Doesn't Volk's thigh look so weird in this, where his knee connects? Okay. Doesn't it look? It looks like there's a cut taken out of him. Okay, whatever. Comes down to 3 things on how this fight gets finished. Either Volkanovski late round TKO KO against Diego Lopes, Volkanovski decision, or Diego Lopes chinning Alexander Volkanovski in the first 2 rounds. And what is the one conclusion I've come up with that will determine who will win this fight is Volkanovski switching stances. If he starts to switch stances too much, he will get chinned by Diego Lopes. Exactly the way he did against Ilia Topuria. And I mean exactly the way he did against Ilia Topuria. Now I know Volkanovski, he's better against taller opponents. And I believe this will be a fight where he is winning till he loses to a knockout. And what I think is going to happen in this fight, what is more likely out of the 3 scenarios I listed off, of Volkanovski by TKO late rounds, or Volkanovski by decision, or Diego Lopes by knockout in the first 2 rounds. I think now first of all, let's talk about the grappling. Not really much to talk about there. I think there won't be any grappling if they try. I believe they'll be able to counter each other, and it'll stay on the feet. It comes down to Volkanovski switching stances. If you look at the Topuria knockout, why did Volk get knocked out? Because Topuria is Topuria. But also because Volk switched stances 8 times, and in the middle of switching stances, he got caught. He went from orthodox to southpaw and back to orthodox in 3 seconds. Why did he do that? No one knows. That's the factor that I think will decide this fight. Volkanovski's stance switches. Will he switch stances that much? Which he shouldn't. He needs to stay in one stance and work with him. He can switch stances, but don't spam them like he sometimes does. And what is he going to do? I believe he's going to switch stances too much. And unfortunately, I really don't want to see it because I think he would be a better champion right now. Volk would be. But I think Diego Lopes is gonna knock Alexander Volkanovski probably round 1 or 2, very similar to what Topuria did in the middle of Alexander Volkanovski switching stances. Diego Lopes is very dangerous early on, and he's very powerful. And I believe he will knock out Volkanovski as Volkanovski is stepping back, switching stances, or even Volkanovski is going in, switching stances. It'll be in the stance switch of Volkanovski. That's how he will get knocked out. Guys, those are my predictions. Let's just go over them once again. Jim Miller versus Chase Hooper. Chase Hooper, boring decision. Yan Xiaonan versus Verna Jandaroba. Yan Xiaonan, 30-27, styling. Sean Woodson versus Dan Ige. I got Sean Woodson, round 2 knockout. Dominic Reyes versus Nikita Krylov. Dominic Reyes, 29-28, winning the last 2 rounds. Yair Rodriguez versus Patrizio Pitbull. 30-27 Yair, but one of the rounds were given to Patrizio just because the judges felt bad. Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva. Give me Bryce Mitchell, first round submission. Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett. Give me Paddy Pimblett. Very surprising performance where he will surprise everyone by getting a decision against Michael Chandler 3-2 in a close competitive decision. Alexander the Great Volkanovski against Diego Lopes. Diego Lopes will knock Volkanovski out in either round 1 or 2 while Volkanovski switches stances. He will get caught in the middle of that. Guys, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment whatever you want. The more you subscribe, the better videos. Subscribing is free. Liking is free. Comment whatever you want. I will respond to all of them. I always do. Go back, check my other videos. Subscribe, guys.